You're listening to Real Folk with me, Jo Burke. Today, I have with me the most marvellous Sarah O'Connell. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
For anybody listening that does not know who Sarah O'Connell is, I don't know where you've been. YouTube sensation. The amount of interviews you've done, the people that you've had on and continue to have on, amazing. So just, Jane Godley, I was just listening to, bless her heart,
I love her. She's amazing.
So missed. So you do a lot of these interviews, but not so much about you. So that's what I was thinking.
Mysterious.
Yeah, I was like, let's have a chat and see if we can't get to know O'Connell a bit better.
Fine.
So you're a comedian, and also do you do art, caricatures and artwork?
Yeah, so I've loved art my entire life. I've always drawn, and when I was little, my aspiration was to be an animator at Disney, and so I went to college and studied art in media studies and film, and then I've got a degree in animation. And then the month I graduated, my dream animation studio closed. That very month. And then so I've just done a lot of random stuff since that. I still love art, and I've got a room set up with a canvas and just paint everywhere. And so if I'm feeling creative, I go and do that. And yeah, when it gets close to Christmas, I still quite enjoy, people commission me to do a caricature of their friends, family, loved ones, colleagues, people they don't like, or just for themselves, for their avatar online and stuff like that. And
people they don't like, I love it.
Yeah, sometimes. If I don't like someone, it's the only time I'll draw them for free.
For free.
They come out slightly differently. I don't post those, they're just for me.
They're just for your own, yeah, cool. Yeah. In your little cupboard for you to look at and take pleasure from at any time.
My little hate cupboard of art, yes.
Who has a hate cupboard? No.
I don't really have one.
No one should have a hate cupboard.
I just invented it. It's an empty swimming pool.
Oh, right.
The cupboard's full up, so now it's an empty swimming pool of hate.
Empty swimming pool of hate. That's quite dark, isn't it? That's quite deep and dark.
No, it's quite well lit.
Oh, it is quite well lit.
It's got some rockeries, yeah, it's quite nice.
Oh,
there's chairs around it.
Well, I love a swim, so I'll have to pop round sometime.
You should.
Swim in your darkness.
Yes, I'm going to have to dig a hole in my garden now because you're expecting an actual one.
I am. I truly am.
You could have said something easier like a draw.
Yes, you could have, and it would have been a lot easier. So animation. So you don't do any animations as part of your show, though? You don't?
I do a little bit sometimes. Like when the movie takes me, what was I talking about? Someone didn't believe that there was like a gold-coloured J2O that existed, and my guests pretended that one appeared on stage and then whacked it across the screen and it smashed. They were just miming this, but I decided to animate that.
Right.
So I'll put things to bring my interviews to life sometimes still, and I do sort of some stuff in my spare time, but not as much as I'd like.
What did you want to be? What did young Sarah want to be?
Yeah, I literally wanted to do animation, and I used to get in trouble for, like if you did an exam, and I got in trouble in my science GCSE because, they have like space at the end of the exam to do notes. I had drawn Tom and Jerry, and they didn't like that. Apparently it wasn't relevant. But it was to me. So yeah.
Oh God, I don't even, you're going, you had notes at the end of exams. It's so long ago since I did any exams. I'm like, yeah, sure they do. Yeah. I don't know. I probably
hundreds of years for me. They used to be in black and white when I did them.
Exactly. Sepia hued exams.
Yeah.
So the whole process of school, how was that for you? Because I couldn't wait to leave school, basically. I found it a massive drag, and I didn't feel like I belonged there. And it was quite a rough, I went to a rough comprehensive. So it was a bit of one of those ones where it was like, keep your head down, try not to get beaten up, and leave as quick as possible.
Yeah, very much the same. I was not a fan at all. I think when I got to college, people were more mature, and people were there because they wanted to be. And because I was doing art subjects, everyone had stuff in common with me. And we would, if it was someone's birthday, the entire class would be invited to their birthday party, like when you were 16 and you just start going to these like adult parties and stuff, and it was all good, and I loved that, and I loved university, and I've always enjoyed learning, and I think I probably learn more now than I did then because stuff that I wasn't that interested in, like science or whatever, like I'll get a book on it and just start reading something by a scientist or whatever in my spare time. And I just like learning stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think when you get older, it's fun to just add skills and knowledge and understanding of the universe if you can.
Yeah, I totally agree. But what I was going to say, and totally agree with you, is that the whole learning, when you're that age, it's too soon, isn't it, to learn? Because you're not sort of ready, you're all over the shop. And then as I've done exactly the same, you get older and you know what you like and you want
Yeah.
to expand your knowledge in obviously areas that you're keen on, and also find out more and more, as I think, as you get older as well, about the psychology, what makes people tick, why people do what they do, where we are in the universe type thing, in the bigger picture.
Yeah,
So I
of course.
totally agree. It is like such a bizarre thing that we're all pushed into some sort of education that's all identical, and it fits. It's meant to be a fit for all, but it actually fits no one.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
very few say they had a joyous time at school.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, to be honest. It's kind of what my YouTube show is. So it's me picking someone whose stuff I love, but also wanting to know everything about it, wanting to understand everything about comedy or movies or screenwriting, or interviewing a Guinness World Records holding eating champion just to understand how they do that and what their
Yeah,
motivations are.
why? Yeah,
Yeah, I just love learning from as many
yeah.
talented, creative people as possible and just picking their brains and asking stupid questions that have been in my head about a film they made in the early 1990s and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, you think it's a stupid question, but you know that your viewers, there'll be one of us sitting there thinking the same question. So it's really good that someone's doing that. Going back to the comedy. So when did you dip your toe into comedy and how did that come about?
I, I used to like making my teachers like when whatever year three was, like I was 7. I remember every day after my class, after the school day finished, because you had every class was with the same teacher, right? At that time, I used to tell my teacher a joke every day, like
Oh,
just every single day. And I'd try and read one or think of one or whatever, and I'd hold it in my brain for the entire day and just like make
oh,
them laugh after school. So it's a thing. I guess I've used comedy as a coping mechanism. I've used it to have the funniest, and I quote, funniest redundancy out of all of them. That was important to me. And I don't know, it's just comedy is a thing I grew up with and I loved. And if I'm doing a presentation or hosting something, I want to make it as entertaining as possible, for myself and everyone else. And if they happen to enjoy it, amazing. If not, I just explain they weren't jokes.
yeah, it's a good coping mechanism. And what about your family? Were you all funny or was there a competition?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't trying to be quirky or funny or anything like that. It was just of some. I think all of my family have got a pretty good sense of humor, and yeah, we just all try to entertain each other and make each other laugh.
So did you do stand up? Did you do Edinburghs and stuff
I
or?
haven't done anything like that yet. It's really weird. Where I've been invited to host things or do talks, or just even sometimes people invite me just to go and talk about myself and my life. I try and make those things funny. I've written so much stuff. And it's kind of weird because where I've interviewed so many comedians, usually you'd start off by doing like an open mic night and you'd go and get a couple of minutes somewhere, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
then, you do 5 or 10 minutes and you build your way up and you build those connections and stuff. I've accidentally done it backwards. So some amazing comedians have said, if you ever want to do 20 minutes on stage, well, get on stage in London or
Off you
whatever.
go.
Someone invited. Yeah, someone said they could get me on stage at the Comedy Store in LA, which is ridiculous to me.
Amazing.
And it's like, thank you. That's like where, like some people have a list they want to do live at the Apollo, they want to do a certain podcast, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That like the Comedy Store for me would be like the ultimate thing to do.
Pinnacle.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of doing that first and then just retiring, just literally only doing that, and then
love
just doing like a
that.
best of tour. Yeah.
Big mic drop. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was me. That's it. That's my career. Hope you enjoyed it.
I've got this really stupid list on my phone, which is like, so I've never been to Glastonbury and it doesn't appeal to me in any capacity. But I've just got this funny idea of just doing a set at Glastonbury just so I can say I did it. Because I don't feel like I fit in there at all. But the idea of that is so entertaining to me. It's basically the only thing I want to do.
Yeah, you so should.
I want to orchestrate a career whereby for some stupid reason I can say that I've done that.
Yes. So LA Comedy Store, Glastonbury.
Yeah.
What are the other big ones that you should do, really? I'm just trying to think.
I think after that, it's just going to be like 30 years solid best of. I'll just call my first tour best of, and then that's it.
I'm
not going to improve it.
I genuinely think it's genius.
Yeah. I try my best with this. This is it. I'm not going to improve on it.
Yeah. So, and what about a book then? Do you release an autobiography or something as well?
I am sort of writing one, yes.
Are you?
Yes, rumour has it.
Ah.
So I am put some nonsensical things into a thing that I'm writing in my spare time. Yeah, so I'm sort of writing a lot of comedy at the moment, and when I've got about 2 trillion hours of it, I will unleash it on the world, and then just issue an apology online, and then stop that.
Yeah,
and then I think book to talk about my experience, my debut at the Comedy Store, and then my best of gig at Glastonbury.
Yeah. Yeah, so the book would need to start backwards as well. So maybe you write it.
Start with the barcode at the back.
80-year-old self. Yeah, start exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. So we've covered your non-existent comedy, but the fact that you could.
How dare you? I've made several teachers laugh. I don't know what you're talking about. And a couple of Uber drivers have been mildly amused.
Yeah. Have they actually written reviews though? I don't think they have they?
I've got a 4.91 in Uber at the moment, which I think is a pretty good review.
Right. Okay. All right. What about the teachers from school?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They didn't keep me back, and I don't know if that's just saying they wanted me to leave, but I have completed school.
Yeah. Because, it's illegal to pay for reviews. So if you left them an apple or anything, that wouldn't count.
I paid for the Uber.
You pay, yeah. Well, I think we'll just leave that there. Let's gloss over that. Right.
They can press what they want, really.
They can, yes. It's so true. It's so
if you slam a door, then you've had it.
Yeah. And don't throw up.
No, throw down.
Yes. Or across, sideways, left to right, maybe.
Yeah.
Just have a game of catch with them.
Yeah, they love that.
Yeah, they do. They do really love that.
Except during the pandemic, they hated it.
Yes. That was a strange old time. Actually, talking about that's really, I think, when I first started to watch your bits and pieces. Did your
I had to close the windows. I was like, "Who is that?" Oh, it's Jo. Hi.
It's Jo watching my bits and pieces again.
Now
Go away, Jo.
I've made 4 people laugh now. That's like 1 per decade.
Wow. Honestly, you've got it all going on. It's all going on. So going back to not that I want to linger on it for too long, but I had a massive meltdown mentally during the lockdown, because although as a creative person, and I don't know how you felt about it, but I've spoken to other people that are similar to me and others that dealt with it entirely better. But I kind of, even though I had even more time to write, I couldn't write a thing. I literally was so spun out by the nonsense that I just could not function as a person for quite a bit of it.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you?
So the pandemic was difficult for me, mostly because just before it, my mum died. So she died in the January. And then when world kind of came to a standstill, that's kind of just how I felt anyway. So it sort of made sense that was happening, because to me, everything in my brain and my life was shutting down. So it sort of made sense that people weren't going out and the pubs were closed and I wasn't going to the cinema and everything. So it kind of felt like, okay, turn the lights off on the planet for a bit, because, I'm trying to process that. It was really difficult, because I had just getting through the funeral and all that kind of stuff was horrible. I didn't want to do it at all. And then I sort of had to force myself to focus on something else. And actually one of the first interviews I did after I hadn't got through it in any capacity, but one of the first people I spoke to was Janie Godley.
Oh, bless her. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had already arranged that. So I went, saw her show, interviewed her backstage. She was amazing, of course. Mm-hmm. And it was a struggle. And I think there was probably about 6 months where I barely did anything. Like creatively, I didn't. I was just sort of processing it and just feed myself, and probably did that too much. And I should burn that off one day. And yeah, it was weird. But
Yeah,
like I wasn't feeling particularly sociable at the time. So it made sense in a horrible way. It was scary, obviously,
yeah,
when the pandemic happened, but it was at the time I wasn't feeling particularly sociable anyway. So yeah.
yeah. I think that must have been such a weird time for anyone that lost someone either during or obviously just before it, because like you
Yeah.
say, anyone that's lost someone knows that you just go into this sort of numb void. You don't know how you're operating, but you seem to be able to operate on a human level, the very basics, as in saying good
Yeah.
morning to people and going and getting your coffee or your milk or whatever it is. But you have no recollection of how you've done that. It's so weird, isn't it, what your brain does? It makes you get on with life in a very robotic fashion.
Yeah.
And and yet you feel, well, I felt personally separate from it, as if I was almost watching myself do those things. It's a weird thing that happens to your brain.
Yeah, it wasn't good at all. And it was the longest time, probably like a couple of years really, before I could even just, yeah, like to me, it was just the daily thing I was dealing with constantly.
Yes.
And I would just, I just stopped doing everything. And then I would try and make myself do things. So I'd start scheduling things and I'd go, I'm going to go and see the show in 7 months, and in 9 months, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to schedule these 5 or 6 interviews and whatever. And I just gradually start forcing myself to just do things. And as you say, it was kind of robotic to start with, and you are just sort of going along with the motions of it. But
Yeah.
eventually you sort of find a way to put it a bit more in the background. It's still there,
Yeah.
but just sort of get on with your life as they would want you to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? And there's always reminders throughout our own journeys through life of them anyway. And I always think when something happens that reminds me of my dad, for example, I always think now, after such a
Yeah.
long, it's like 30 odd years, that I just go, oh, he's here. Do you know what I mean? If it's a piece of music that he loved, or a
Yeah.
joke, or like even you mentioning Tom and Jerry, actually, because he used to uproariously laugh every Saturday at Tom and Jerry. He'd say, do you know what I mean? It's just those little things, and you start to be able to enjoy them rather than getting terribly upset about
Yeah.
them eventually.
I try to actively capture those things. So I have a playlist of songs that my mum had. I've lost my dad as well 2.5 years before my mum. And, if I think of a song that they liked, or it comes on or a TV show, or a saying that they had, or a story they told, I try and just write that stuff down so that if I want to, I can go back and just, immerse myself in all of my memories of everything.
Yes.
And it's not just about that last thing that happened, but, the entire life that they lived before it.
Yeah, that's a really nice idea. And I've got a playlist it's on my old iPod. No one has an iPod anymore, do they? But it's called Dad, and it's all the songs that he
Yeah.
used to play and like, and then like you said, all the ones that we enjoyed together at various things. So yeah, I think no one ever really leaves, do they, basically? I quite like that Day of the Dead thing, which is as long as there's someone that remembers you, you're still sort of here. That's a nice thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're like literally made of those people, so that
Yeah.
they're genetically still living on through me, and it's how humans continue to live. And you'll look at a photo from maybe 100 years ago, and you'll go, "Oh, my cousin looks exactly like my great 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 auntie or
Yes,
something."
in a like a
It's
really
amazing.
creepy, weird way. It's
Yeah,
like bizarre, isn't it? It's like time travel.
yeah.
Or is it just time travel? We will never know.
Well, everything is time travel. We're time traveling now,
That's true.
and space traveling around our sun, which is going around our galaxy,
Yes, it's very true.
going through an ever expanding universe.
Until it expands so much that it kills us all. Or the
Well, then
sun
it
does.
contracts. Yeah, and then the sun dies
Yeah.
out and the sun swallows Earth.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah. Should we create a playlist for that?
I think we should just call it bangers or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to your lovely parents, they
Yeah.
must have been very proud of what you've achieved then and what you've done. And
Yeah, they did. Even the smallest thing I do, I remember my dad would go and tell all of his friends, even if he didn't necessarily understand what I was telling him that I'd done. Technology was a bit beyond him sometimes. But yeah, he was super proud, and so was my mum. But she was so funny too. I tell her that I just interviewed this amazing person, and she'd reply like completely indifferently, "I don't like them, but you should try and interview like David Essex or someone." Thanks so much. Like, I've just been to a premiere. It's like my first one.
Totally not. Yeah.
I don't like their films. So thanks, Mum. I'll try and get David Essex then. So, yeah,
People are hilarious. I think my mum, whenever I say I'm doing a new show, my mum says, "Do you have to?" I was going to call one of them, "Do you have to?" Because it's just like every time I do anything, "Do you have to?"
Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of do is the thing, though. That's what's hard for that generation to understand, because they don't come from well, my parents didn't, and don't come from a creative background at all. So totally the same as you. They just don't really get what we do.
So for me, it's kind of no matter what I'm doing, if it's art or an interview or whatever, I just have to express those ideas, get them out. And if I'm the only person that ever sees it or enjoys it or gets entertained from it, that's fine. I've expelled that thing from me, because otherwise it just exists as an idea and I get too many of them. It's no good.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think the thing is you have to get it out, don't you? Because otherwise you start the voices. For me, with characters, they're in my head having a good old natter. So until I write the book and get it done, they're just constantly going, "Do it, do it, do it." So you have to get it out, and then they sort of subside until the next lot come in and take over. So when's the book going to be released then?
It's a good question. Well, more stuff keeps happening. So I don't really know what to do. I need it to slow down a bit. It's so funny. Like when I started writing it when I was 36, and I'm older than that now. Like literally the first couple of pages mentions my age, or date. I might rewrite the entire beginning anyway, whatever. But it's just so funny to me going back to that. It's like, that was like 7 years ago. I should really finish this. But it's just it's not like I was commissioned to do it or anything. It's just a thing that I happen to be doing when the mood takes me to tell a story about a particular thing, or to capture something, or,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? It's nice just to diarise those things anyway, to keep them a note of them. Because the thing is, you do forget. And I think especially with you, with the amount of people that you're chatting to and you meet in your lifestyle, it's like so easy to get almost a bit blasé, I imagine, about it. So do you, having to go back and make note of them actually does it make you appreciate them even more, those moments with
I genuinely appreciate every single person that's been on my show. I don't take it for granted at all. And it's not, I don't get starstruck, but it's like appreciation struck. I appreciate what they've done. So I interviewed Don Hahn, who was a producer on Disney's The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and worked on Who Framed Roger Rabbit and a million other things. And like, to me, just what he's worked on, what he's put out into the world is mind blowing. And the fact that I had the chance to celebrate his career, and, it was just incredible to me. And I never take that for granted. And, my show really is just saying thank you to people that have entertained me. I don't do it for the sake of it. When you first start out, you're kind of like, I'll just interview I'll interview that person. Who's the next person I can talk to? But now it's very focused. I'd love to speak to that person in that film, or I really enjoyed that cartoon I just saw. I'm going to interview the 3 writers of it. And, it's a lot more, I'm doing it on purpose rather than just doing anything to try and just get more content.
Talking about that, so you did Dawn French, and that's another one I watched fairly recently.
That's Sabrina,
she is just amazing.
She is amazing. That took 3 years.
3. Do you know, that was one of my questions, because is there anyone that you've been like, I don't know, what's the longest you've been trying to get hold of someone for?
I don't. So, okay. So normally if I invite someone, if they don't reply, I don't chase them up. Right. If they happen to reply and say they'd like to do it, but then forget to reply again to arrange it, then I leave it an amount of time. I'll chase it up, whatever. The first time I asked Dawn French, she was so busy. I think she was working on a book. She was just doing a tour and all that kind of thing. And I imagine people ask her every single day. And she's like, I'd love to, but I won't be able to for at least a year, and she listed the stuff she was doing. And it's like, but like, I'm thankful you even replied to me. But as it so happened, when she told me that was the last person I told my mum that I was going to interview. Oh. So then a year passes and she's still doing stuff, and another year passes, and then 3 years passes, and then we somehow aligned our everything, and she very kindly came on my show.
Wow, amazing. And she's just such a love, isn't she? I just adore her.
Yes.
This thing is going to run out now in a second.
Yeah.
So can we redo it can we just log back in?
We should start again. I think we can do this better than this.
Yeah,
I'm going to give better answers. I'm going to change my school stories.
Yeah, I think so. Let's just make it, we can, and you can change the swimming pool to a draw, and then that saves a lot of nonsense, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's just hang up for 1 second and log back in on the same.
I didn't even know we'd started.
Okay. Well, let's pretend we haven't then. There you go.
Okay.
So let's just say ta-ta and hello again in a sec.
Shall we?
This is an advertisement break now, people. I'm going to end it. I'm ending it.
Don't end it. That's a bit dramatic. Hello.
Ding dong. Hello. Sorry about that.
Hi. It's okay.
Oh dear. I will upgrade at some point. That would be useful, wouldn't it, Jo Burke? Yes, it would. Upgrade.
Then we could do a 24-hour one.
That's right. Could do a marathon. Yeah.
More
charity.
Yeah.
Yes, or Twix or all of the above. Good stuff. So we were talking about getting people on, and you get people that you obviously don't necessarily know, but that you love to say thank you, which is that's a really nice thing, isn't it? It's a really nice way of approaching it. I was wondering then, in that case, there's not, like you said, you wouldn't chase people anyway, but is there anyone that you would like to have that didn't reply, that you feel like, oh, that's that's a bugger, or is it all of them?
It kind of doesn't happen that often. I would say I've interviewed probably 99% of the people I've tried to.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Which is
That's
fun.
a good hit rate, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah. So there's some, I've got a list of, I'd love to do it. We just have to work out time thing. And sometimes it's because they're filming a movie, or they're traveling, or they're moving house, or they're whatever it is they're doing. And so I might dip back in once a year, and then sometimes one of those years it just works out for them. I appreciate they're like super busy and stuff. Sometimes I've even had it that I'll interview a comedian and they're on tour or whatever, and they'll tell someone else about my show, and then they'll contact me and ask if they can come on it too.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, like a word of mouth kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. And is there anyone, not to be rude, but is there anyone that's asked to be on that would you accept everybody that asks to be on?
No.
Is how, yes. I'm trying to politely.
Absolutely not. I could probably list a lot of people that will never be on my show.
They'll never make it.
They will no, and it's not a fame thing or anything like that. If I think they're a terrible person, I don't want to give them any extra oxygen. No, not at all. So I've interviewed people occasionally that have slightly leaned towards the dark side several years later, but that's not my fault. At
the time you took them for which is all you can do.
It was before their descent into evil or whatever, so that's fine. I don't mind that.
Yes. The dark side. We've switched to the dark side again. We keep doing that. That's weird. So I don't know if you're open to talk about it, but you're transitioning and stuff. Are you happy to chat about that, or would you rather not?
If you want to.
I just can't imagine, and I think most people can't imagine what that process is like, how lonely that might be, and terrifying.
It's a bit of a faff, to be honest. No, go for it. It's a bit of a faff.
It's a bit of a faff. So what happened? Did you always want to do? Did you know from a very young age?
I didn't know the word trans or anything like that. But
you knew when you cut off then? Sorry, you knew when you were...
When I cut off, that's a different conversation.
Oh my God.
That's when I found out. I just thought I was going on holiday there. I walked into the wrong room. It's terrible. No, I knew when I was 3, and I didn't... Yes. And so I say this to people, actually. So when did you find out you're female? Were you 15? Who told you? Were you 28? I just knew, I can't explain. I just knew. And that never went away. I wanted it to go away. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I grew up in the I didn't understand what was going on.
No.
I couldn't see anyone else was going through that. It was never mentioned on the telly. As far as I knew, I was the only person in this situation. And I just thought, if I can get the best education I can, if I can get the best job I can, maybe someday in some distant future, I can work out what the hell to do about it. And then thankfully the internet was invented several decades after I was born. And then there'll be people looking at photos of me to see how old I am now, which is amazing. The terrible ones aren't me, and the good ones of anyone else are me. Yeah, and then you start finding your community and just realizing I can do something about this. People have, transitioned decades ago, 100 years ago, and they lived full lives. And that's a possibility. That's mind-blowing. But you don't just transition yourself. You kind of have to transition your life, your acceptance. You're just telling everybody, just financially being able to afford it. It's horrifically expensive. It takes a terribly long time. It's very stressful, not because it's stressful doing it, but just because the world makes it stressful.
Of course.
But yeah, so I circumnavigated all of that, and here I am.
Yeah. So talking about the length of time, so from the start to the finish process, how long was that then from start to finish?
Okay, so
I keep phrasing this terribly badly, don't I?
I enjoy it. Yeah, it's fine. I had some horrific conversations when I first told people. It was fascinating. Okay, so I've always been me, and the process of becoming me took 0 seconds. I was born, I was me, I've always been me. The person driving this vehicle is Sarah. I am me, always have been.
The physicality.
Yeah. So there's other stuff I wanted to do and achieve and stuff, and that took a while longer. Yeah, there's people that are just in a waiting list to get a first appointment for a decade. There are people that wait 10 years and then they're told that something's gone wrong and they didn't reply to a letter they were never sent, and they have to start the wait. It gets horrible.
Again, seriously?
It's not even a wait, it's a denial of service for a lot of people.
Oh my God, yes, you're true. Oh.
And then so hateful people will be like, oh, you haven't even, not to me, but they'll be like, you haven't even transitioned or done anything. It's like, they can't, they want to.
Yeah.
But the governments and the media and just the hate groups make it so difficult for people just to get on with their lives. And, the community is full of brilliant, amazing, intelligent, just lovely people that some of them have lost their friends and family and everybody, and they just want to be themselves. And life is so short. It took us 13.9 billion years, so they say, to get to this point from the universe being created. And we're here for just a blink of time, the smallest amount. And, I can remember clearly being at school, and I can vaguely remember what I did last week. But, we're here for a short amount of time. And I think everyone should be able to be themselves and be loved and respected for being themselves, and just be able to be celebrated for that and to shine brightly. And rather than people that have only ever seen themselves on TV 99% of the time for their entire lives, and they suddenly see someone from a different culture or religion or background or gender or sexuality from themselves, and then feeling threatened by that because not 100% of the people on TV look like them. Think how it feels for the person that has never been represented, and when they have, it's been as a punchline. And, there's not more trans people, you're just more aware of them because it's taken so long for civil rights and everything like that. And the Stonewall uprising, when that happened, all the things the community, the LGBT plus community have been through to get to this point, and the trans community aren't going back, and they're here, they exist, they'll always exist. If you sent us all into space, there'd still be more trans people on Earth because we're just a natural variation of human existence. And to answer your question, it was a faff.
We'll stick with faff. That's good. Talking about not seeing yourself on TVs and not being represented, do you think?
I mean, I have now.
Yes, but would you would you like or want, or would you rather carry on doing what you're doing? Would you see yourself, if offered or if you wanted to produce it yourself, your show as a TV show?
Yeah, I definitely consider it if it was on the right channel, the right streaming platform. I wouldn't want to give any attention to a transphobic media outlet in any capacity, and it would have to be in the right place. Yeah, I'd certainly do it. Another thing I've considered is just doing my show on stage. So getting a
Yes.
different guest going on stage, getting all their fans along. And I've spoken to Darren Hayes about doing that in the past. We almost did it on his UK tour.
Oh, that would have
But he
been
ran out of time, so he
cool.
extended his tour and all that kind of thing, and then went straight into America. But yeah, it's definitely something I am considering.
And are you
Which
considering producing it yourself then, rather
I'll do
than
everything
approaching?
myself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, of course,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. If I did like a live, a one-off thing in London, or if I did a tour around the UK, and maybe not with the same person, because I don't know that people would get. I wouldn't want to talk to the same
No, you
person
need a
50 times about
variety.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a faff. But there's two things in life are faffs: transitioning
Yes.
and interviewing the same person 85 times.
That's true. Yeah, well, it's a good comparison.
Yeah, life's two faffs. And then so there's as you can tell, there's tons of stuff I want to do. In the initial future will be comedy, but then another idea I kind of like is doing maybe like a variety show thing where maybe I do some comedy on stage and get some friends to as well, and then maybe interview some of them. And I'm friends with singers and bands and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they could maybe do something like that. So
Yeah.
they're kind of things I'm toying with.
Well, I think there's such a huge gap at the moment because, I mean, interview-wise, the only things that I really watch are sort of Graham Norton and that sort of thing, and I just feel that there isn't a female equivalent, is there? Really?
Yeah, and I'm half Irish as well, so that kind of ticks that
So there
box.
you go. There you
Yeah.
go. So yeah, so all you need is a nice set, and away you go, and you've got all the celeb friends now.
I'm planning to build one in this room. So this is where I do my online things, but there's another wall that I've reserved to make look like a set. So I will be interviewing some people here in person as
Ah,
well. So that's kind of another thing I'm doing.
nice. And have you filmed any of those yet, or is
No, not yet.
that's still? But you've got
I'm
people
trying to
lined
work out a stupid logistical thing with what I'm trying to do with the wall.
with the wall.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to the wall to see if it's in agreement with what you're wanting to
Haven't.
do?
Well, one thing I need to do is remove two wall lights that are on there because they're kind of in the way.
Right.
And yes, I want to make it look like there's a bit of a skyline going on, and it'll look like a proper TV show set. when I'm done with it.
Nice. And so will you be sending cars for all your guests to come to Shay O'Connell?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like electric skateboard, something like that.
Yes, like
Yeah, huskies.
yes.
Yeah, just drivers with really deep voices.
Yeah, huskies and some just roller boots or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or just one.
Yeah. A roller boot.
Yeah, a roller boot.
I just love I've just had a picture of them arriving to your set.
With
on a
one
roller
really
boot.
muscular leg.
Yes. Oh, it will work wonders. It'd be the new workout. It'd be the new thing. You could then release a Keep Fit DVD based on your show.
Mac was spotted going down the M3 today.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think probably I should let you go because I've probably taken up enough of your time now. And thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me. And this is a first for me because, like I said, I don't normally do the video thing.
Yeah.
I normally just do the talky thing.
Well, I'm glad you did because I brushed my hair today and it would have been a waste.
It would have been a shame, wouldn't it? Yes, yes. I wished I put some eyeliner on now, but didn't.
I've got a food delivery later, so it's not completely wasted. But
no, oh, good, good. But I mean, honestly, good luck with everything that you're doing, and keep doing the ones that you are doing because I genuinely love them. They're marvelous, and I love the sound of a Sarah O'Connell show in your, I was going to say in your living room. It's not your living room. It's your new office, your new set space. If you're going to have some sort of scenery, what do you envisage that to be? Sort of.
Well, so just a big sofa, so a few people can fit on it, and some plants and a skyline of some description. I've taken some photos for that actually, but I don't know if I like them. I have, and I went to New York twice and did it.
So it's a New York skyline.
Yeah.
Hey, good you.
Might as well.
It's still going to be called the Sarah O'Connell Show, I take it.
Yeah, I haven't changed my name though.
No. You could do it backwards, O'Connell Sarah, or
Yeah, it'll be Lanocco, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy to speak to you, and I just can't wait to see what you're going to do next. I can't wait to read the book eventually when that comes out in the next 20 to 30 years.
So it won't take that long. So once I start doing comedy properly, and then, once I start doing some of the bigger things I'm planning, like, it just makes sense for me to release it then.
Then, of course.
So then I'll just, over a month or two, sit down and write the entire thing. Congratulations to you, by the way, on all the books you've released. One of which is available on Kindle Unlimited at the moment. Everyone should go download it.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yes, that's the only one that's on Kindle because they're such a rip-off. So all the children's books we just do ourselves, and it's a much nicer way of doing business.
Exactly. And there's 6 of those available as well, and everyone should go and buy them because it's the perfect Christmassy treat.
A Christmas treat, that's correct.
Yeah.
And so who have you got? Are you releasing any new interviews for, because what is it now? It's the 2nd of December. It's practically Christmas.
Oh, well, okay. So there's 2 screenwriters that if I can get that PR person to reply, then there's a film that they worked on that was Christmassy, and I will release that before Christmas. If we do it.
Oh, nice.
If not, I think I've filmed the next 40 episodes of my show.
Wow, already. Wow. You're so good. And do you do everything, all the post-production and everything yourself?
All of it. Yeah. So I arrange the guests, I research the interviews, write them, obviously post and film it, then edit it, market it, do all the graphics and everything, and then release it.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You are wonderful. As a human and as a Sarah O'Connell, you're my favourite.
Thank you. There's a really nice one in Las Vegas as well. So shout out to Las Vegas, Sarah O'Connell.
LA O'Connell. Excellent. Yeah. Nice. Nice work. And keep me posted on all the developments.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you very much for inviting me on one of your 2 podcasts. I suggest that everybody subscribe to them. And I'm really excited too to be on the Real Folk one, because I sometimes struggle with those capture things when they're like, "Are you a robot? Can you identify every bicycle?" And it's like,
Not always.
I thought I could, but I don't always get that. It sometimes takes me a couple of hours. And then I give up trying to buy the stupid thing I didn't need in the first place.
Yeah. I should have made the guests do that test, shouldn't I? I should make the guests do a Real Folk robot test before they come on. But I don't think I would pass it either, though, Sarah, because funnily enough, I did one of those capture things the other day, and it was, sometimes they're a bit hard.
They bloody are, yeah.
It was pick all the ones that are burnt matches, used matches.
Oh.
So it was pictures of matches, but they were quite dark because, the pictures are never that clear, are they, either, is the thing. So a match, burnt or a light, anyway, what I'm saying is it felt like the Krypton factor, and it took me 2 goes to get into whatever it was I tried.
They're impossible.
I know. So it is hard to prove that you're real, and perhaps one of the best ways of doing it is coming on my show.
I think it is. And I think you should do a spin-off show where you're accusing people of being robots.
Absolutely. On that note, I will leave you to have your shopping delivery and a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care. Everyone subscribe to this and speak to you soon.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Now that she's gone, I'm just going to get on with it. No, I'm joking. Bye. I just sit here talking to myself.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm just trying to stop the recording. Thanks for listening to Real Folk with me, Jo Burke.